Okay, so we're going to cover the different points of view: first person, third person, and within third person, the limited third person, multiple third person, and omniscient. Limited and multiple, the most popular. So when to use first person versus third person? Well, first let's go into the difference between first person and third person. First person is when you write from the point of view of the character, I, me, my, and third person is when you write she, he, and, if you're talking about more than one person at a particular time, they. But really want to stick to he and she, want to stick to the person's point of view you're working with. Okay, so when then to use first person versus third person? What are the strengths and what are the weaknesses? If you're writing this is kind of difficult, because if you're writing a crime, like a crime story, in the point of views from a detective, then it's fine, you can write in first person. But if not, you probably want to write in third person because you want to be able to be objective with information when you're sharing crime information and stuff. You don't want it to be biased. So you want that objectivity, which means third person will allow you to do that. You can't be objective in first person. That's its weakness. But first person's weakness is also its strength, because it lets you characterize. So for example, let's say the main character you're writing is Kim, and she's a teenage girl, and she's opposed to drugs. She grew up not liking drugs. When she walks into an apartment and there's a bong on the table and she knows what it is, she recognizes it. If you write in third person, you can write it objectively when you're given descriptions of things. But you can also choose to get more personal with third person, in which case then first person's weakness is also third person's strength and first person's strength. So when you're boiling down to it, you really have to decide from first person to third person limited, or limited third person. It really comes down to, is the character interesting enough they want to be in that person's thoughts the entire time? Because you can never get objective. At least with third person, you can change. It's easy to get objective and describe something in an objective manner, and then go right back into a more personal writing style. So third person allows that leeway that first person does not. But first person does allow you to really get into the character's mind, and it's really fun. I like reading first person myself. All right, so when she walks into this apartment, she's going to describe that bong, and she might say, and there was a stupid bong on the table when you're describing the setting, the scene. Whereas an objective third person can just be, there was a bong on the table, or in a bong set on the table. But you can also, like I said, with third person, you can still describe it, a stupid bong was on the table, if that's the point of view character you're writing from, if that's his thought. So you have the leeway to go both ways. Now, also, when you're writing a first person, and let's say Kim is sitting in a coffee shop, and a really pretty girl in a red dress walks in the coffee shop. Now, if you're writing in third person, and you want to be objective, you can just simply say, a really pretty girl in a red dress entered the coffee shop, or a pretty girl in a red dress entered the coffee shop. But if you want to be in first person, you can't do that, because that's not how Kim thinks. Unless Kim truly thinks that, then you need to write what she thinks. But let's say she's a little jealous of this woman because she's with her boyfriend right now, and her boyfriend gave a glance at her or something. Then she might say, this really bimbo looking girl in a red dress, strutted her stuff into the coffee shop, and my stupid boyfriend, copped a glance, or something like this. And so what that strength, the strength in first person there then, is being able to show the character's personality through even description, which is really cool. But you can do the same thing with third person. Let's say you're writing in third person, and the point of view character, what does that mean, the point of view character? The point of view character means this is the character whose point of view you're writing in. So again, just imagine that you are that character. So when you learn how to write first person, then just translate that same concept to third person when you want it to get more personal. And so, but you have to write in third person language. So here's some examples really quick. But before I go into those examples, let's go back to the third person girl walking in a red dress. Point of view character still Kim. You can still write that the bimbo-looking pretty girl walked into the coffee shop with a red dress, and her stupid boyfriend copped a glance. So the only thing you're changing is the I to her, right? So that's it. And so the example then between those two would be sharing the thoughts of Kim, I hope he likes my new dress, and in third person would be, she hoped he liked her new dress. These are both intimate, they're right up close and personal. So if I'm going to use the movie analogy, this is the camera zoomed all the way in on their face. Let's say it's a face shot, for example, or it's even closer than that. It's in the thoughts. So it's a voiceover. You know, some movies when they're sharing the thoughts of characters, or like in the TV show Dexter, it's a voiceover to share Dexter's thoughts. So since these are the thoughts of a character, then this is right up close and personal. Where this example, I hope he likes my new dress, which is up close and personal, sharing the thoughts, but the tag, she thought, kind of distances the reader a little bit. So you're not as close as she hoped he liked her new dress. I would actually go with these kinds of thought descriptions in third person most of the time, and only when necessary use a thought tag, when you can't state it in any other way but to say she thought, and because you need that I within there. Like, for example, what if the character said, she's so stupid, I swear. It's kind of weird when you write that as, she's so stupid, she swore, or she's so stupid, Kim swore. That doesn't quite have the same thing, so you really have to use a thought tag there. She's so stupid, I swear, and then put she thought at a thought tag. So that's an example where you're forced to use a thought tag if you really want to say that. Pull this up for I have my time here, for I can see how much time I have left. Okay, so that's basically it then. For the strengths and weaknesses between first person and third person. First person allows you to really share a lot more thoughts and to be biased the entire time. And that biasness you can actually use a false character to where but you need to make it clear somewhere later in the story that the person is unreliable, the unreliable narrator. So if you're writing in first person, the narrator is unreliable, you need to let the reader know through hints and give them enough information that the reader can figure it out. Oh, this narrator is unreliable, or I can't really trust this narrator. Or in some cases, you can just flat out say you can't trust the narrator in the very beginning. The narrator can tell you that, I have a mental disorder or something, and then you're like, mental disorder. Don't know if I can trust what this person is saying. Anyway, so there you have it. I'm going to go ahead and probably cut this first part off, and then we'll go into more of limited and multiple points of view. Actually, before I move on, one other thing I wanted to mention is with tenses. You really want to stick with past tense because it's the most popular, it's the most widely read, and if you want to get published, especially as a first-time publisher, it's going to be easier to get the past tense published than present tense. You really don't want to write in present tense. So we naturally tell stories in the present tense, so it just kind of seems natural to, when you're writing, especially if you're going to write in first person, it seems natural to write present tense. She. I blah 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 blah, I say. I don't think I have to just explain present tense and past tense. This is all past tense. You want to keep it. She hoped he liked her new dress, rather than she hopes he likes her new dress. You don't want to write in present tense, even if it's first person, unless the publishing house for some reason wants that. But I don't think that's going to happen. So. Outside of being an established author or writing short stories, you're probably going to want to stick to past tense. So stick to past tense verbs. One more quick thought then. When in first person, though, you can switch to present tense when you're sharing present tense thoughts that happened at the time, like I hope he likes my new dress. You wouldn't say I hoped he liked my new dress, because that doesn't fit the thoughts that were happening at the time. So she would actually say I hope he likes my new dress in present tense. So this is not a tense problem when you're sharing thoughts, but when you're describing things and actions are happening, and when you're narrating and not sharing the person's thoughts in first person, then you want it to be obviously in past tense. The only exception to that is when the thing is so true that it sounds foolish in past tense, like the earth is round. You would never say the earth was round. It sounds foolish because the earth is round, it wasn't round. Okay.